Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a sixth sense for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame. Cause I break the chains, can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys. Cause I break the chains, they try to hold me. I'ma push back, just wait and you'll see.
One and only Brian Custer, the Grand Poobah. Hey, I wanted to ask you something. The last time you was on air, I'm not sure if it was the Brandon Figueroa versus Luis Nery, but you put all the positions of your compeers up there. And under your name, you had the host.
Yeah.
You did yourself a disservice. Man, you like the polymath of everything. You everywhere. What was that about, man?
Well, I'm not the guy who labels that, you know what I mean?
Okay. He just put you as the HOST.
Yeah, so
no respect.
Yeah, they have people who, that's their job, is to put on the graphics and all that. So yeah, it's not my job. But I didn't take it as disrespect. Listen, I love my job and I love the people who I work with, and I always say my job is to make sure to put the sport in the best light possible.
Understood, and you do that there, Brian. Always professional, knowledgeable. I want to ask you about the sport of boxing. Is regenerating its attention.
Yeah.
And now that certain regions are opening back up. Yeah. So this fight right here, Barrios and Davis. What's your take on Gervonta Davis attempting to move up for a third division weight class against a taller, heavier, bigger opponent in Mario Barrios?
Hey, look, I think he's always said he wanted to chase greatness. He's always said he wanted to be a pay-per-view star, and every time he comes on, he wants to achieve things that people will say he can't. To go up a couple of weight classes, to challenge a guy who's 5 inches taller, has a longer reach, a powerful guy. If you look at Mario, since he's been at 140, I think the last 10 fights, he stopped 8 of those guys. So he's got pop. This is going to be something. It's going to be really interesting to see if Tank power carries to a guy who's going to rehydrate to like 155, 152, to see if that power is still lethal there. And I'm sure maybe Tank looked at it and said, well, maybe at 140, maybe this is the one guy at 140 who is vulnerable out of all of those guys.
Correct.
And if I'm Mario Barrios, I would take offense to that. And so I think, to me, that's where the intrigue of this fight comes in.
I guess intrigue would be a more polite word. Some boxing heads would call it cherry picking, But he does have the WBA regular title, so we're going to give him that in that perspective. On to the unification bout that's coming up this weekend. Yeah, Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor.
Yeah.
How do you see that? Who are you predicting?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good. Listen, Josh Taylor is a good fighter. I mean, him in pro grade, that fight was, was a really good fight. Ramirez is a dog. So I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be good. If it turns into, I say this, if it turns into a boxing match, I would say Taylor. If it turns into a dog fight, and you have to get gritty, I think Ramirez will pull it out.
Okay, all right. That's solid, because I'm taking Jose Ramirez off his last opponent. He did very well.
Yeah.
So I think Josh Taylor was in a medium, difficult fight with Regis.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's all good. Moving on to what the big talk has been about Brian, Deontay Wilder, arbitration win. I know you probably heard it in your ear so many times. Give me your summation on it.
Listen, folks, first of all, folks can go to YouTube and go to my podcast, The Last Stand podcast with Brian Custer. We interviewed Deontay.
Yep.
Which obviously created a lot of buzz. And he said and I remember him saying this, when I first came to Fury, I told him clean himself up. He did. Let's fight. It ended in a draw. I told him, because he said there was no rematch clause. I'll give you a rematch. You feel like you need a rematch? I'll give you a rematch. And he said I was a man of my word. He said, then in the rematch, we had a rematch clause.
Correct.
He beat me. You need to be a man of your word. There should have been a third fight. And they tried to drag it out. They said because in the podcast, he says they claimed because of the pandemic, they dragged out the negotiations until the expiration date came. And they said, well, I'm sorry, the expiration date came, we've moved on. But as Deontay always maintained, you need to be a man of your word. I was. And I guess obviously a judge felt right. The arbitrator said, no, you got to fight this guy and fight him before you can think about fighting Anthony Joshua. So I guess that's how we got a Wilder Fury.
As long as you've been in the game, Brian, why do you believe people don't provide Deontay Wilder with that respect, being that he reigned for over 5 years, 10 successful title defenses to the WBC crown? Why do you believe there's not more people that was pushing for him in those 2 bouts he had with Fury?
Yeah, I think, listen, Deontay's a confident guy. That rubs some people wrong. He's confident in his skills, and he should be, because listen, it's exciting. He's going to knock you out. And I think that, that has something to do with it. But listen, the moment of truth will be coming for him with this fight, because listen, you fought hard to get it, and he beat you decisively in this last fight. And Deontay has maintained there is a number of things in his mind that happened for this loss. Well, now you can rectify that.
All right.
And I think that really adds to what this fight is all about, because some people think they were excuses that Deontay Wilder made. He says, no, I'm telling you this is what happened. Well, we get to find out now in this third fight.
I like how you phrase it. Some people believe that it was excuses.
Because I
hey, a true professional at all times.
I just say this, listen, I've been married a long time.
Yeah.
And your opinion is your opinion, and who am I to doubt your opinion?
Yeah.
So whenever my wife comes up with something and she says, hey, look, this is the way I feel, who am I to question? Because that's the way that person feels, and that's the way Deontay feels. He says these things happen. Now, some of us may look at it and say, come on. But if he says, and that's the way he feels, that's the way he feels. I can't question that, but I tell you what, we get to find out now in this third fight.
Do you believe there's any validity, though, from what you've witnessed per all the media clips?
Yeah, it is, it's hard for me because, even with the egg whites and the gloves, or egg weights, I should say, in the gloves, listen, that's why you have a guy in there to look over that stuff. Mark Breland's a great. It breaks my heart the way that relationship ended, because I couldn't fathom anybody trying to put something in the water of your own fighter. But again, that's how Deontay feels. But I'll say, now you got a third fight.
Yeah.
You can erase all of that doubt that people have in this third fight, in this moment of truth. So it's a big fight for Deontay Wilder.
So the speculation is that Tyson Fury may drop his title and fight whoever.
Yeah.
Do you believe he's going to enter the ring against Deontay Wilder in the trilogy?
I do, because I don't think they want to pay any. I don't think they want to pay any step aside money, and I don't think Fury wants to. The only other person he wants to fight is Anthony Joshua.
Okay.
Let's be honest.
So this arbitration, it includes the WBC. So therefore, if Tyson Fury do not want to fight Deontay Wilder in the trilogy,
right,
he has to let go of the WBC and he can do what he wants?
Yeah, he can let go of the belt and then fight somebody else. But listen, Fury's a champion, so he's going he won't keep that belt.
Yeah.
And he feels like, too, look, I smashed him last time, I'll smash you again. And then Joshua, look, we can do it towards the end of the year.
What do you think about Canelo, man? I seen over there in Texas at 100%, the stands was packed, unbelievable. We was able to get that natural reaction again. What did you think about that Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders fight? And do you believe that Billy Joe Saunders quit, or his corner just basically canceled?
No, I think Canelo smashed his eye, man. Mm-hmm. I think it was like, listen, I think it was like a Kell Brook thing with Errol Spence.
Okay.
Remember when Errol took the title from Kell Brook over in England?
Yep.
He broke his eye socket, and Kell stood down, on the, and you know, his corner was like, bro, you can't see out of that thing, stay down.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing with Billy Joe. I think in the corner, they went to try to fix it, and I'm like, whoa.
But you'll admit, though, Billy Joe Sanders did not take the extensive amount of punishment that Kell Brook took from Errol, though.
Right. But, you know, sometimes one good shot.
Yeah. The uppercut was vicious, you know?
It was vicious. And, hey, look, Canelo's bad boy, man.
Yeah.
Canelo bad boy. So I don't put anything against any fighter who gets in the ring, puts their life on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And if his corner felt like that's it, then that was it. You know, obviously Billy Joel didn't say anything. And I think as a fighter, you're not going to say, no, that's it. Generally, they're not going to say, no, that's it. If your corner says, hey, look, I think I'm going to stop it, they know, hey, look, I'm messed up. And a lot of times they stay quiet, and I think that's what you saw with Billy Joel.
Last question there, Brian. Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford fantasy match may happen sometime.
Yeah.
I know you of all people have had interaction with them one time or another.
Yeah.
Do you believe it's going to happen in 2022?
Yes, I'm gonna say yes. I think Errol's plan is to fight for the WBA belt, whether it's Ugas or Pacquiao this summer, and I believe that he wants Terrence Crawford at the very beginning of 2022.
Okay.
And I think that's what he and almost it would almost be one of those type of things where he says, I got all three of the belts.
What do you see the split being? If Errol has the WBC, IBF, and the WA.
That part I couldn't tell you.
Hey, because Errol's been talking 70-30.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you that. That part I couldn't tell you. But I'm sure that's his bargaining chip. If he ends up with three of the belts, saying, I got three of the belts, you got one. You know, it can't be half and half.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's probably why he's trying to go this route.
To all the listeners that tune in to the Last Stand podcast, what do you have to say to them, Brian Custer?
Man, thank you. I appreciate it, man. We certainly been growing. We need to grow some more. So hopefully everyone will go to YouTube, subscribe right now, and we bringing so much heat to you. We're going to have Jamel, Charlo coming up. We got so many guys coming up here, and we listen. You guys send me a DM or something. Whoever your fighter is, and you want me to get them on, let me know, and we'll try to get them on as well.
Everyone tuned in. Always a true professional. Brian Custer, met him on several occasions. Much success for you moving forward there, Brian, and salute from World Comeback Sports.
Thank you.